Hey everyone, welcome back to New Slang. This is Thomas Mooney, your host. We're kicking this week off being joined by singer-songwriter Ashley Campbell. She has a new record coming out called Something Lovely this Friday. That's October 9th. I just really love the space that they created for this record, the sonic textures. It's really light and airy sonically, and they really work within what I would kind of consider like these pastel colors. It's clean and crisp, and there's like this lullaby kind of quality to it. At times, they kind of venture into something a little bit more wistful or melancholy, perhaps just like a touch of restlessness in some songs. A giant part of that is Ashley's vocals. She's such a delicate and graceful, blissful vocalist, and like they just kind of perfectly float above those lush, dreamy qualities of the songs. I don't say this lightly, like just the record in general is just a really beautiful sounding album. And as far as Ashley's lyrics go, they're just like right in stride with what I'm talking about sonically. I really love how she's able to show off some aspects of her personality with these lyrics. Like the title track, Something Lovely, it's so fun and charming, and she's flirty and funny in it. But then a song like Walk On By, it's almost like the flip side of the song, or the flip side of that coin, rather. She's so funny and charming in it, but it's just a different funny charming, where you can feel every wink of Something Lovely, you feel every eye roll on Walk On By. And I just really love the juxtaposition of those two songs. And of course, probably what I'd consider the heartbeat of the album is Remembering, a song that Ashley wrote for her late father, the legendary Glen Campbell. You know, like I could probably just ramble on for forever about how great this song is and how important it is. But if you haven't checked it out, like just go ahead and check it out yourself, because that's just really, you'll just be better served that way. But more than anything, I guess what I would say is the song is more reassuring than anything else. It's just nice that she has led us into this intimate moment and this intimate relationship between a father and daughter, and you're able to apply those feelings into your own life and your own relationships. Today's presenting sponsor is Desert Door Texas Soto. If you know anything about me, it's probably that I'm from the heart of West Texas and absolutely love everything about West Texas. And that's really why I love Desert Door so much. You may be asking yourself what exactly Soto is. Well, it's a premium spirit that's similar to a tequila or a mezcal, but for my money, it's a little bit more refined and smooth. There's a sweetness and faint hints of vanilla and citrus, and it's also as versatile as your garden variety vodka. At its core, Desert Door is authentically West Texas. They go out and harvest Soto plants from the wild and bring them back to their distillery over in Driftwood, Texas. So next time you're at your local liquor store, get a bottle of Desert Door. For more info, check this episode's show notes. All right, before we get started, if you're interested in joining the New Slang Patreon, it's a great time to do so. It's, of course, a great way to support the podcast and a way to get some extra added perks along the way. Postcards, merch, extra interviews, ad-free episodes, and so on. If you're interested, there's a link in the show notes. And, of course, also in the show notes are links to the New Slang merch store, Tom Mooney's Cup of Coffee playlist, and all the social media stuff, so you can stay connected on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and so on. If this is your first time listening to New Slang, be sure to hit that subscribe button as well. All right, let's go ahead and get on to the interview. Here is Ashley Campbell. Let's just go ahead and start. Obviously, you have this new record coming out in a couple of weeks, and I guess I've been starting out a lot of these interviews with how that's been affected by the pandemic and whatnot. For you, was there like any logistical kind of problems or questions or concerns when lining this album up for a release date and whatnot?
Well, luckily we actually recorded the album in at the end of 2018, so it's just taken a while to like get all the ducks in a row to release it, and I've changed around my team a little bit behind the scenes, and then this year we were like, all right, we're releasing the album, we're ready. Then the pandemic hit, so we kept pushing it back. because everything was so uncertain. You know how like at the beginning of the quarantine with the capital T, it kept going like, oh, okay, it's just going to be a couple weeks. Okay, 2 more weeks it will be open and back to normal.
Right.
All right, maybe another month. By fall, let's reschedule everything for fall. Perfect. And now it's just like, it hasn't necessarily gotten much better. And so we just kind of, you can't not put music out, especially in a time when people need new shit. They need entertainment. They need music for their lives. Like, goodness, I was like, for example, let's see, when was this? Like, when did Ray LaMontagne's recent album just come out? Was it June or something?
Yeah, I think
End
it
of
was
May or
sometime
June.
in that
I was feeling particularly low, and then that album came out, and it lifted my spirits so much. So, that definitely solidified that it's so important to just keep reaching out to people with your music. And whether you can tour or not, it's not an ideal situation, but it's ideal to release the music into the world.
Yeah, like that at the very beginning, you're right. Like it felt like everyone was just kind of in this limbo area of going, okay, well, they're telling us maybe it's a month, maybe it's by the end of summer, by fall, everything's gonna. And so like you naturally understand like people going, okay, well, I had a spring date, so let's just push it to summer. And well, I had a summer date, well, let's just push it to fall, or whatever that is. And then of course at some point it was just like, yeah, that's not gonna really happen. So yeah, it's such a, I think what more so than anything else, I can empathize with the frustration of like just really no one having the answers of telling you what to do, or having like there's no real plan for this beforehand to look back.
Yeah, like even thinking about, oh, what do you want to, what's next year going to look like? I have no clue.
Mm-hmm.
We might have live shows back, but they're going to look completely different. It might not be because of distancing regulations and stuff like that. Like artists might not, who play really large shows or even relatively large shows, might not be able to make the kind of money that they need to tour. And that's going to be a huge problem, because the whole idea behind it is get as many people in the venue as possible. And now it's like, don't.
Right. Yeah. Like, go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's just so many factors. It's like, yes, we probably will get to play some live shows, but they, will it be sustainable as far as making a living? We don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What I kind of relate that to is, early on, I guess, they were opening back restaurants and being like, okay, 25% capacity or 50% or whatever. And I guess I was like just totally naive to the restaurant industry, but it seemed like where there's no way that 25% is even feasible, like to keep open. That a lot of these restaurants, they were surviving on being at full capacity all the time. Mm-hmm. And so like being open at 25% is just, it doesn't really, like it didn't really matter. Like there was no point to it in a way, because it was just, at some point it's costing more to stay open for at 25 than it is to just be closed.
Yeah. Like, gosh, it kind of reminds me of the not to get too political, but like the issues with the unprecedented unemployment, numbers, mm-hmm. like myself included, and then they think, oh yeah, well, the 600 a week was great, but now it's have they even started? Is it talking about 300 a week now or something?
Yeah. Like it's just been, it feels like there's like the people in charge are like out of touch with the concerns of.
It's like saying, yeah, you can't go back to work yet, or restaurants, you can't open and actually make enough money to be able to pay your rent, but you can open, we'll give you a little bit, but not enough to survive. And that's what I feel like it's going to be for maybe live concerts at some point. And the poor venues, what are they going to do? Mm-hmm. Right. Like it's going to have to be, and also like if restaurants are opening, I guess, I had a friend in Australia that played a show recently, and it was like table seating in a club. So in order to keep people from standing too close to each other, it's like spaced out tables and whatnot. It's interesting to think about what the future of live events holds for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if what's been done yet is the right answer, and I don't know if it's going to be like someone's going to have this kind of, revolutionary idea that kind of changes things, that makes it feasible and makes it actually great or not. I mean, obviously, anytime there's like a stressful situation in this world, that's usually the time where innovation happens. So we'll see, I guess. But also going back to your point on the, people need music during this time because they aren't going out and they're stuck at home, or they're just. One of the things I was talking about with somebody else was maybe like perhaps one of these silver linings is that by the time you're able to play shows again, your crowd is going to know those songs on these new records, because so often it's kind of like that cliche of you put a record out and you say, or you have a record coming out and you go, oh, I got a new one for y'all, and then everyone kind of goes to the bar or something like that because it's not familiar. Maybe that's going to be one of those little silver linings in it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm all about finding the silver linings, especially this year. But yeah, I mean, people have no choice but to sit and listen to it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned you guys recorded back in 2018 this album. I think like that's something else too, is that for so many artists, you realize like you guys didn't just record this last week and I'm putting it out now. You guys are sitting on these songs a lot longer than anyone else is. What I guess like how do you stay excited about this project whenever you know what I mean? Because like I think it's natural for you guys as creatives to kind of be already moving on, being excited about new songs and plans and whatnot.
Yeah, like I can't even tell you how many times I've listened to mixes and masters and just listened for fun and things like that. I think what helps me stay excited is that it's a product that I'm really proud of. Of course, the more time you have to sit with it, the more time you have to think about, oh, I could have done this differently, or I wish I would have done this. But you kind of have to, like, once it gets locked in, you have to say, like, all right, like, this is it, and I'm going to just pick everything I love about it. It's hard for an artist to say this is finished, wait, one more thing.
Right.
But this particular album, I'm just super proud of. And also it helps that all my amazingly talented musician friends played on it. And so when I listen to this album for pleasure, it's not me like getting off on myself. It's me being so excited and in awe of my talented friends that played, like I'm like, oh, here comes the steel solo, or oh, that piano, it's so good, or oh, Vince Gill, oh my God,
Right.
So I'm so proud of the product that I made, and proud that I have such amazing friends that played on it, that wanted to work with me.
Yeah, I really like the sonic palette on this album. I love like just kind of that that blend of like that wistfulness and some melancholy, and there's like the airy crispness to it as well that I just really like. I guess like I read that you guys recorded this pretty quickly in a pretty short period of time. What kind of things added to that, where you just had like that little pocket of time to record the album? What kind of like, I guess, added bonuses were there for when you didn't just have forever to record an album, when it was just these like 10 days or whatever? Was there any, what kind of like, I guess like that pressure to create that diamond? What added bonuses do you feel you get from recording in a short period of time like that?
Well, I think the first thing that adds is a deadline to make choices. You have to make choices and stick with them, because you don't have time to think about it, and that can be a double-edged sword. But for the most part, it's an extremely powerful driving factor to work and squeeze out the creative juices And gosh, it was a whirlwind, and you start getting delirious, and then maybe you have crazy ideas that you wouldn't have had if you had more time.
Yeah, like I think there is like that little bit of that dreaminess to the record. Was that always kind of like when you first were writing these songs that you envisioned for this album, or was that more developed once you got into the studio as far as the sound?
I think it was, it was developed for sure. Like I wanted to make an album that I would like to listen to every day. And I like chill stuff. I like stuff that you can put on and cook dinner and really enjoy the vibe that it creates. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted it to have like a dreamy, relaxing feel, even though not all the subject matter is like happy-go-lucky, sweet dreams kind of stuff, but the feel is. And I love that about it too, that, a sad song doesn't have to sound sad.
Right. I do like that as well. Like that, that happens so much in country music as far as like that juxtaposition of, sad subject, and then like just really nice pop sensibilities to the song that feel nice and light and airy and fun. Mm-hmm. When did you mention Vince Gill a minute ago, and he's obviously on If I Wasn't. At what point did he get involved? How did that happen?
So when we set out to record the song, I started talking with my producer Kai, and I was like, gosh, I'd love to have a guest on the album. Obviously not only for some more visibility from a business standpoint, but just from I love collaboration so much, and I kind of racked my brain like, who can I get in contact with that might be open to it? And my dad was buddies with Vince and really respected him, and my godfather Carl Jackson has worked with Vince a lot, and they're buddies. And so I just asked Carl to reach out and see if he would be interested, and he said yes right away. And I was like, well, there it is. That's all I need.
Yeah. Like, and I think like he obviously like he has that crispness to his voice, and when you hear Vince Gill sing, you just automatically know who it is. There's so many great qualities with Vince Gill. I think
he's a classic.
This episode is in part brought to you by the Blue Light Live here in Lubbock, Texas. While Blue Light is still closed due to the pandemic, there is a way to help A, support Blue Light, and B, get a sense of that normalcy by visiting bluelightlubbock.com, clicking on the merch tab, and getting some koozies, a vast array of t-shirts and caps, and yes, even a Blue Light flag. While it is such a bummer that live music is still on hold right now, I'm telling you, by getting some Blue Light Live merch, you're going to feel better. It just feels better wearing a t-shirt and ball cap and helping support your favorite bar. Again, that's bluelightlubbock.com. Click on the merch tab, get some merch. All right, back to the episode. Obviously, like, you have all these like strings, and you mentioned the pedal steel, and obviously you're playing banjo on it, like, and everything. What do you feel like? At what point do you hear those in a song that like, oh, I want that on here?
It just depends. I do have my brain is more music focused than lyrics. So I tend to like produce the song in my head sometimes as I write it. So I generally have an idea of what instruments I want on a song. But sometimes, I might say, gosh, I really love this particular instrument. I want to squeeze it into one of my existing songs that I had never thought to put that on. Like for my next album, for example, I was listening to, have you heard of this song called Moonlight Feels Right by the band Starbuck?
I guess not. No, I'm going to have to write that down.
It's a little obscure, but it was from the 70s, I think. And there's this insane, ridiculous xylophone solo on it. Like, it's almost funny. It's so ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh gosh, it would be so much fun to fit a stupid, ridiculous xylophone solo on my next record. So like I'm already like writing down a list of like what ideas that are just already here can I squeeze into whatever I might write in the future.
Yeah, yeah. I always wonder about that because, you know, so many when you start out on a song, it's like there's nothing there, right? And it's just like these abstract ideas that you're trying to put together, and they can go in a million different directions. And I always wonder like about how if you do hear those sounds that make the song a little bit more textured and a little bit more vibrant, and obviously with you being someone who can play banjo, guitar, various instruments. What like do you ever like do you have to start a song on a specific instrument and let it kind of maybe this doesn't work, maybe I need to go here. What for you? What is it that usually do you typically start on a specific instrument for a song, or is it just kind of varied?
It's very different every time, you know. But what's cool about being able to switch to different instruments, I think, is if I like start a song on one instrument and I get kind of stuck, I will go and start trying to write the same song on a different instrument, or um, or if I'm like, it starts out as a fast song, I'll be like, all right, I'm really stuck here. So I turn it into a ballad and see if that gives me any new ideas. And whether I go back to it being a fast song or a ballad just depends on what that change inspires. But sometimes if you just like change it up, slow it down, speed it up, you know, make it a reggae beat while you're writing it and then switch it back to country, just anything to kind of inspire, because the mood, the feel of a song definitely inspires the lyrics.
Mm-hmm. You know, like I think it's one of those things that you'll every once in a while you'll see on social media of someone painting something, and then they flip the painting upside down, and then you realize what they've painted. And I think like in art, a lot of that has to do with like if you're looking at a subject, you're focusing more on the shapes and like the lines, and so like it helps you not warp the image. I kind of feel like that's maybe something with that related to the songwriting and the creative process, as far as like, you know, okay, we've gone down as far as we can this way. Maybe let's switch instruments and see if it works out better, or like you said, like the going slower or faster or whatever. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
I mean, any change, like you might see a door that's open a little bit more than the wall that you just hit, you know, for the last hour. So if you change any little thing up, even go to a different room, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
It's
like, well, go ahead.
many great ideas happen on the bathroom break because you got up and walked out of the room, you know.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna actually ask that. Is like, do you typically do you typically have that break in there between when you switch up, or is it just like, you know, set one down and pick the other one up, or is it necessary to give yourself that little bit of pause?
It just depends on, you know, how the spirit moves you. I personally I like letting a song marinate. You know, it usually takes me a couple different sit down sessions to finish a song, and sometimes you never end up finishing it, or sometimes you finish it months later, years later, but it was the right time to finish it whenever you do finish it.
Yeah. What's been like your the longest write? Like something that you just kind of maybe not necessarily forgot about, but it was always back there, and you're like, oh, now uh, I've I don't want to say fixed, but now it's more done than before. You have
Well,
anything
I'm
like that?
working on one right now that's still not finished, but I've had the idea for a couple years now, and it's the latest one to get on the block to finish. But yeah, it just depends. I don't know. I can't. Nothing like super long comes to mind.
Mm-hmm. Was do you typically like if there was like I know they all come different and everything, but if you had to have like the right setting for yourself for a song, do you typically like mornings or late nights, or do you like the to be alone? What's kind of like your setting? Do you like to have the pen and paper out, or a computer, or what's kind of like your, if you had all like the right settings for writing a song, the creative part?
It kind of varies as well. Like sometimes I'm in a computer mood because it's just a faster editing process. Or sometimes I like to romanticize it and go analog with a pad of paper and crossing out lines and things like that. But I think in general, I'm a computer person, or I'll get my iPad and use the notepad. Just because I like to, when I edit the song, I like to see a clean version of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to do on pen and paper, but it just depends.
Yeah, like all the chicken scratch and like the
Yeah.
for me, like not that I'm a songwriter, but the longer I'm writing, the worse the handwriting gets. So I can imagine that being a part of it too.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, this record, I think like there's a lot of stuff on here that that I feel like I've chuckled at, or like, I kind of see like this like tongue in cheekness, or like this in some of the lyrics. And the first one, of course, was just kind of like that first single from something, or the title track, Something Lovely, where you're talking about so and so and such and such. I feel like that adds so much character to that song, and I think just adding that part specifically makes that song where I think we can all relate to that, but like that part in particular makes it a little bit more special. Like where did that come from?
That was actually a joke. I was writing with my friend Brandon Kress, and we were in his tiny bedrooms in his Brooklyn apartment that he shared with like three other guys. So we had to write in the bedroom, and the bedroom was big enough for his bed basically, and we had the window open to the fire escape, and we were just like, I don't know what to write. And I played a D chord, and I was like, all right, let's be in a bar. Like I was trying to set the scene. I said, let's be in a bar. I don't know what to say, and I said, nice to meet you. My name's such and such. You look like a so-and-so I used to know. And I was like, yeah, that's funny. That's not going to be the lyric. It was a joke lyric, and I just wrote it down as a filler. And then I was like, you know what? I really like that, actually. It's very Roger Miller.
Yeah, like that's what I thought too, as far as like it had that Roger Miller quality to it, that Dolly Parton kind of thing. And yeah, like I was wondering if it was initially something that was kind of more like a filler to get on to the next thing, and then you just were like, oh, this is actually really good.
Yeah, because sometimes when I'm writing and I find myself a little stuck, I just like say the first thing that comes to my mind, or like don't take it too seriously. Like, sometimes you get really locked into, all right, this lyric has to be really good. I got to really think about this lyric. But sometimes I'm like, I just need to move on to the next verse. So I write like the first thing that comes to my head, and that's what that was.
Yeah, like I've been around some I guess like watching people co-write, and some friends and stuff, and I think that like the most surprising part for the average person is probably that you often do use fillers, or like let's just try and let's use this right here, and if we can beat it later, then we can beat that line later. And
or like a lack of self-editing. I think that's when some of my favorite lines come out, is when I'm not editing myself and saying, oh, that's not a good line, or that's a great, when you're just like, oh, that's kind of funny.
yeah, like giving yourself the allowance to say something that may be like dumb or something. I think that's like an important part of any kind of creative writing, right?
Yeah. Like the first line in the title track, Something Lovely, is put your drink down and look my way. Hey. And when we were trying to, decide what the first line would be, I was like, all right, I sit down at a bar. I see this guy that I'm really attracted to. What's my intro line? And I just like trying out lines, and I was like, put your drink down and look at me. Like very direct. And it seemed kind of funny. So
yeah, like I think like there's that, it's a very charming kind of setup, right? Like and what I love so much about it too, though, is, and I don't know if this is necessarily intentional on your part, but it really does like feel like the opposite of the song "Walk On By." Like it
Yeah.
feels like very much like same two people or same woman, two different nights. You know, like same bar, same
Yeah.
and was that kind of intentional? Were you thinking about the other song after writing the other one or anything like that, or?
That's funny that you make that connection, but I had never even thought about that. But it is totally the same woman. It's like Walk On By is after a relationship, and Something Lovely is she's finally ready to get back out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and both of those have. I feel like that line of that sense of humor is in both. Like I think like on Walk On By, you kind of say like, what is it that I wrote it down somewhere? What did you say? Oh, like about like, can't you just act like I'm not here? Like, just like
Yeah.
see straight through me, please. Like,
Well, it's interesting now that you mention it. Those two characters from the songs like are both versions of me, but they definitely seem like the same person because in both of them she's kind of pessimistic.
mm-hmm.
She's an extreme optimist, but also very pessimistic. Like she's like, I'm just gonna talk to this guy and see if he's into it. And turns out he's just as fucked up as she is, and and she's just like, okay, oh well, at least I tried,
Mm-hmm.
And then in Walk On By, she's just like, I don't even care. I wanted a drink in a bar. I don't want to drink at home. What does it matter?
Yeah, I think that's also, not to necessarily go down this road too far, but that's something that I think is very specific to women. Like guys have like you're just able to go to a bar and not feel like you're going to get picked up on by like everyone there. You know what I mean? And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's an aspect of that song, "Walk On By."
Yeah, I mean, it's like, not everyone goes to a bar for a date.
Right.
It would be actually interesting to explore all the different reasons people go to bars.
Yeah.
And in that case, in that song, she's just she didn't want to be alone with herself, but she wanted to be left alone.
Right. Like that's like it's kind of like like the I don't want to be by myself, but like just leave me alone. Like
Yeah.
it's again, I really like those. Like and I don't know, like I just kind of like I saw the connection, and maybe I forced the connection, but I think like there's something there. So yeah, I don't know. It feels like you as a writer, a lot of those kind of songs, like you're really great at having those observational kind of wallflower observations. And I guess like for you, like where do you typically people watch, and do you typically kind of like, you know, daydream about those kind of people and write those little things down? Is that how a lot of songs start for you?
Yeah, definitely. I like to imagine myself in scenarios. I love people watching. Um, yeah, it's almost as if I'm writing a short scene in a movie,
Mm-hmm.
you know, of high intense emotion. But I really love storytelling, so that's probably why a lot of my songs are very dialogue driven.
Yeah, well, you know, a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of times in songs to drive a story, they're talking about action, but I think like dialogue can make a song a little bit more personable and a little bit
Hmm.
more. You're able to like empathize with those people more because you're hearing what they're saying versus what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, sorry, that's my clock going off.
Oh, I don't hear it actually, so it's okay. Uh,
Oh, good.
I'll cut this little part out. Let me write down. Yeah, like also like you have like the well, now I'm kind of lost here. Hold on one second.
Sorry. Dialogue.
Yeah. Well, also like I want to go back to like I guess I read like you initially kind of wanted to be a comedian, and what are those kind of like qualities do you find that you end up like putting into your songs, and like maybe like stage banter and whatnot like that?
Well, I never did stand-up comedy. A lot of people assume that when they say comedian, but I was an improvisational actor, and so
Mm-hmm.
I did comedy through made-up scenes and stuff, and like the ability to get on stage with no idea what you're doing is like both terrifying and exhilarating, and I feel like it's helped me a lot in songwriting because of course you're creating stories on the spot. But also, when I'm on stage and, things don't always go exactly how you want them, there's sound problems or whatever it might be. Like one time I went up to play at an event, and right as I struck my first chord, the fire alarm went off. So, it doesn't always go the way you plan, but as long as you know how to fly by the seat of your pants, it's very freeing to not worry about that. Like always assume something will go wrong and that you will handle it beautifully.
Right. Yeah. And I obviously I've never done improv or anything like that, but like I'm assuming that so much of that is being able to read the people that are up there with you, and how much does that help when you're co-writing with something or just collaborating in general?
It's very helpful because when you're on stage doing an improv show, it's all about the other person. You're not just standing up there making stuff up and shouting it out at them. You say one thing, they respond, you respond to what they said. That's how you write a scene. So that's one reason I really love co-writing. It's called yes and in improv. You say yes and then you add something as opposed to yes but, which kind of sets up a wall. So you keep the story going by positively agreeing. So when you get a good chemistry with a co-writer like that, it's totally priceless. And those are the people you hang on to and you keep writing with over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I that's what I kind of, and I think it has to go back to that whole, like allowing yourself to say something that maybe you wouldn't, like you don't want to put those walls up. You don't want
Mm-hmm.
to be timid where you're like, oh, I guess like the editing in the moment can be destructive to the creative process.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you mentioned like you do like to edit. Like, do you typically set on something for a while and then go back, or is it what's when it comes to editing? What is like your kind of process to it all?
It just depends. What I like to do is, once we get kind of the bones of a song, I'll record it on my phone and I'll kind of listen to it a lot. I'll listen to it while I'm driving. I'll listen to it while I'm in the shower, and just once you have the structure of the song, or like you have the basic lyrics out, you listen to it more and more. Your brain starts telling me what you wish was different or what you don't like. You're like, oh, that doesn't work, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
so then you can start asking yourself the questions, well, what do I want here? What does this person need to say? How does this song need to make me feel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think like again like one of those things that you slowly start learning about watching and talking with people about songwriting is that it's not just the romanticized version that you have in your head of songwriting of like you sat down and you just wrote that song in 15 minutes and it was all easy. I think so much of the songwriting is that before you pick up the guitar and the after you pick it up, after you've written it down. And it feels like so much more of like what songwriting is those moments where you're inside your own head just thinking about whatever that song is and what you want out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
For you, like what do you said like you listen to them like after you in these like these notes. do you typically try and like, I guess, like make notes then and there? Like, or do they usually go back to a different time for when you go back and sit down or something? Or are you usually just kind of like maybe adding notes to what you want to change in the moment of listening?
It all depends on, I don't think I ever do it one way, you know,
Mm-hmm.
It's always different. Any which way you can.
Yeah. And, obviously like like you go back to, you play banjo and you have like that instrumental in the middle of the record. What I kind of find a little funny is that usually whenever I get sent a record, I'll put it on and I'm just kind of doing other things the first few times I listen. But that the title of the song just kind of grabbed me. And so like I was like listening for Mustache Man to be mentioned or something like that. And like it just never kind of came. And then it was like, oh, you know what? I bet it's that instrumental. What how I guess like for you since banjo is such a you usually it's so connected to bluegrass and more instrumental work is usually a part of that. How important was it for you to like have something like that as a part of this record?
It's very important to me because I've always been very proud of the fact that I can competently play an instrument because I don't know, I'm very proud of that. And because I think it's probably because my dad was such an immense instrumentalist that I take pride in that in myself. Even though I would not compare myself to anywhere near as great as he was, but I kind of made a vow to myself when I started making records that every album would have a banjo instrumental on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's I think like what I love so much about little instrumentals or bookends or things like that is like it's a nice, especially for like something like this where it's right there in the middle. It's like that flip of the record kind of moment. Because obviously, like
Yeah, it's a nice little break in the verbiage.
yeah, like I think like for listeners often, what I always I guess do is it gives me a moment to think about like the songs previously before a little bit more while not necessarily just being in dead air.
Yeah, and it's almost as if it's in the same key as the song that comes right after it. It's in D, and so it's digging deep. And so I like that we place those next to each other as well because it kind of keeps that vibe going. And digging deep is probably one of the most like rootsy, weird songs, so it kind of matches the rootsiness of the banjo.
I wanted to talk to y'all one more time about our new partners at Desert Door and offer up a handful of my favorite ways to drink it. Get you a Mexican Coca-Cola, have a couple of swigs, then pour yourself some Desert Door Oak aged in, toss in a lime wedge or two, or how about this? Pour some Desert Door into a mug, top off the glass with some ginger beer, squeeze in a lime, or for all you ranch water drinkers out there, get you a Topo Chico, take a couple of pulls off, and then pour in some Desert Door. Toss in a couple of lime wedges, and now you have a mighty tasty and refreshing ranch water. Remember, Sotol is as versatile as vodka and has a more refined, smooth, and a more complex palate than tequila. It's rich and balanced, and whatever your go-to drink is, it'll make it that much better. And again, it's inherently West Texas. It tastes like home. For more info on Desert Door, check our show notes. All right, that's it for Thomas Mooney's Cocktail Minute. Let's get back to the show.
Obviously, like you guys are you're putting this on vinyl and everything like that. What and I guess with vinyl, back in the day, since there are two sides, people thought of records more as like side A and side B, versus like that just that track listing that we get with CDs or digital. Has that affected the way like you lined up the record? Was that always? Is that?
Oh yeah, you definitely have to think about the sides because vinyl is super important to me. I love buying vinyl when I go see an artist that I love. That's my favorite way to support an artist through merch is buying their vinyl, and I feel like it's a better collector's item than a CD or a T-shirt or something, which are great too. But I always buy the vinyl if I love the artist. And, you know, it does matter. Like the sides matter. You can't put a vinyl on shuffle, so it has to be intentional.
Yeah. Just give it time. You know, someone's going to do that.
I hope not.
What I always like, I love like just with vinyl, there's so much more intentions. Like you just have to be as a listener, as you making the album, because like you said, like you just can't really go back. It's hard, or you can, but it's so difficult to. Oh, I want to listen to this song again. So you never get it right. You know what I mean? It's never perfect. So, I think it just makes people listen to albums versus songs.
You would be surprised. So many people in the Nashville music industry have told me like, oh, the album is dead, just release singles. And I was extremely offended because I'm such a defender of the belief in a full album, an intentional piece of art. You know, I think like saying, don't worry about making an album, just put out songs, just put out singles or like EPs is like telling Da Vinci only paint one of the dudes in the picture at a, you know, just paint one dude. That's enough.
Yeah.
You don't need to paint the whole Sistine Chapel.
Yeah. Or here, crayons are in, you know, not like oil painter.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously like also like you're like with song, you're telling us a specific story or a specific something, right? That little narrative. And often like that's part of a bigger theme, a bigger piece of art. And I just like, you know, for forever, like I think it's also the standard. And if you're telling a lot of new artists, especially, just do singles, focus on singles or focus on EPs, like all their heroes were making albums, were making like full-length records. And I just think like that's just, I don't know, like you're just, it's a detriment to the process as a whole. And you're just kind of stunting the growth of maybe some really great songwriters.
Yeah, like I think, you know, creating a full album is telling an entire story and coming full circle, whether it's through lyrics or just the vibe. Like I think a cohesive vibe for an album is so nice. And to have not every song be this banging balls to the wall single, you know, quote unquote single for radio. Like, can you imagine an entire album of quote unquote singles that are meant to be like smash hit, blah, blah, blah? It's like, it would be exhausting. It'd be like, when can we breathe?
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of the album cuts, you know, the songs they didn't play on the radio.
Yeah. Well, like I think with if you just had like a bunch of just radio singles, you get that ear fatigue, and if it's all the same, like it just turns to mush. And it's fine. I don't like try and like just bash radio so much because that's just exhausting. But like appreciating the record as a whole, like that. Let's just obviously this record, there is that common thread throughout, and that's what I think like was so cool is that you're able to just, oh, I wanted to make a record like this. Here's this record without like making records. You know, you wouldn't have, I don't know, like you wouldn't just have like these specific little snapshots for an artist.
Yeah, like a record that's cohesive is like putting on a mood. It's like you put it on, you go, I want to feel like this. It's like putting on a different outfit. You know, you're trying on a different set of clothes and it makes you feel a certain way. And that's what I love about some of my favorite albums. It's like when I'm happy, I listen to this album. When I'm feeling introspective, I put this on, or when I want to relax, it's just so nice to have a curated piece of art to put on, and you can trust that it's going to make you feel however it makes you feel, you know?
Yeah. And also, like you mentioned, like the deep cuts of a record, the songs that are not necessarily that are going to be played on radio, like those songs are important because they often like you're talking about more serious and deep subjects, or maybe on the opposite end, like maybe they're just a little bit more light and funny that wouldn't get played on radio too. So like I don't know, it's for you, like I guess like with this record, you know, there's 11 songs on it. I'm obviously assuming there was a lot more in the bucket as far as like what could have been on it. Can you talk a little bit about like that process of like focusing in on to make this a record versus just a collection of songs? What was it for you to, I guess like your vision that you wanted to, I've got X amount of songs, let's somehow narrow these down to the ones that fit together?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely a part of the process because, like I said, I like an album to be a cohesive, you know, curated thing that all kind of goes together. I don't like a mishmash, a Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing. I don't know. Yeah, there's some songs that didn't make it. There's good songs that I have that might not have been right for that, but maybe on the next record, stuff like that. But it just depends. My producer, Kai Welch, helped me a lot with that. He helped rein me in. I was like, just 15 songs. Come on, just 15 songs. He's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually recorded 13 songs, but we abandoned one because we knew right away that it just wasn't working. It's still a good song, but you know, you just kind of have to be able to let the song baby go.
Yeah. Well, you know, like, I guess like, you know, with the producer is like that person, let me actually back up right there. I love when a record is cut down, like to 10, 11 songs. Even like some records that are great are just amazing at 9 songs. And sometimes it's better to just have that leaner record than it is to have like the 15 or 16 songs or anything like that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. But in relation to that with the producer, you know, I guess like that's the person who has to kind of help you, as you said, like rein you in, make sure like everything's kind of tighter than imaginable, because like I can understand it being such a like, oh, you know, I'm making a record, I want all of it, I want everything, because they're all important.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard sometimes when you have a song that you know you want to put on a record and it just doesn't work with the record that you're making. So you're like, oh gosh, I'm going to have to wait like 2 years to record this song. But the good news is if it's still good, you'll be just as excited about recording it in 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, like going back to like this time period that we're in right now, what has that done? Has that helped you be more creative? Has that made you be a little more intentional writing or anything like that?
The COVID time?
Yeah.
It's definitely made me more introspective and experimental, I guess. I'm actually focusing a lot right now on learning I'm learning a digital audio workspace. I'm trying to be able to record myself so I can up my writing game and maybe like expand my creative limits by being able to use a recording as a writing device, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's like not for some reason, but the obvious reason, like most people just gravitate towards the guitar or the piano. And I think that can just limit them. They're limiting themselves to not learn something. You don't have to necessarily be a pro at something else, but I guess it goes back to opening more doors for you.
Yeah, and I've already, you know, I'm still struggling intensely about getting this, you know, interface under control because I'm a total newbie at recording. But luckily, my brother Cal, he's a certified engineer and he's living with me right now, so he's very, very helpful with gear and stuff. But it's amazing. The other night I sat down and just put my headphones on and ran my vocal and guitar through like some nice effects and reverb. And it's amazing that just a little reverb will inspire you to write a song because it just sounds so magical, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think like that's, I guess I read like a while back, this is probably, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, where like Noel Gallagher of Oasis would sometimes like, he would write things that he knew his brother Liam would sing really well. Like just like the long vowel sounds and stuff like that. And I like the whole reverb thing right there. I feel like that has to be part of it for if you add something like that where you're just like, oh, there's a new world or something like that opened up to maybe like these kind of lines, these words work better for this. So I can see like that maybe being something that's just like a new landscape for you.
Yeah, sources of inspiration come in all shapes and sizes from all different places. And, sonic inspiration is definitely a really great tool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's been interesting talking with people during this time because the people who have been most productive have been the ones who I think it's like easy to think like, oh, you guys just have been writing songs every day, like one song a day. This is the best thing for you. But I think like the people who have been most productive have been the ones who have taken up other parts of art or have just been learning new things like this, like learning how to like record at home or learning how to draw or paint or garden or I think like a lot of people I've talked with have the learning curve on doing like live streams, like learning how to set stuff up that actually will sound good and decent.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still working on my live stream game. I just bought a USB mixer yesterday to try and, be able to EQ and compress and put some verb on for my live streams.
Yeah, because like I think that right there is such a, you think of it as like, oh, this is going to be easy. It's like, set up a camera, plug in, just kind of like you're playing a show, and it's going to be easy. It's going to be easy to like live stream to everyone. That's, how hard can it be? And then like you kind of realize, oh, you know what, there's a lot of things I was probably overlooking.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to do. It's difficult to do well.
Right.
Or it takes a little effort. It's not difficult to do well. It just takes effort, which most people don't want to do.
Yeah. Well, how different is it also for when you're doing like a live stream and there is that lack of interaction right after a song finishes, like there's no applause or any commentary or anything like that.
Well, I've been doing shows on Stage It, and there's a message board that people can write on, but what really sucks is that for me, the message board is delayed. So, I have to wait maybe like 20 seconds before what I said that they hear and can respond to. So that's a little frustrating. I wish they could get that a little better, but it's kind of interesting. It's definitely changing. It's definitely going to change the way I perform live, actually, because it feels on the live streams, on the virtual interface, like it's very more relaxed and it's very more personal. And so I'm kind of learning myself how to be more relaxed and personal with a fan setting. And even though they're not directly in front of me, I feel like it's going to help me relax on stage as well and be a little more real and conversational.
Yeah. Like, I think it's so easy to kind of rest on what you said last night that worked, or like the night before. Like you've definitely seen shows where like you get the same stories, like the same little like jokes from the lead singer, and he tells that joke every night, or he whatever the case is, and it's like the same set list. How is because you've done a few like some themed kind of shows, right? How has that helped as far as like just not playing the same set every night, because it can be a lot of the same people?
Yeah, I mean, the audience that I get on stage is mostly the same group of people now, which is actually really fun to, see people coming back again and again and making requests and things like that. But yeah, the theme shows are really fun because it kind of forces me to have to learn some new songs, and yeah, it's just fun to switch it up, keep my chops up.
Yeah, what's been like the one that you, I guess, like has been the most fun to do?
I really enjoyed the Beatles one I did a couple weeks ago. That was really fun.
Yeah,
Or I did like a finger picking theme, so I did some like Doc Watson style stuff, and that's really fun.
Yeah. What's the kind of like on your, I guess like your wish list, to-do list maybe?
Of theme shows?
Yeah. Do you have anything like you just like?
I don't know. I haven't thought about the next one yet.
Yeah. Just.
Who knows? Let's see. I like going out on a limb into different genres. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe a Beck themed show or something.
Oh, Beck is so good. That's kind of a related kind of record is like his sea changes for this record.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
A lot of the I love that record by Beck, and he's always so different on everything.
Yeah, he's a very good intergenre artist example.
Yeah, like I'm gonna go off on a little tangent here about Beck, but I know like probably 5 or 6 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, he was doing these like record club things where him and he would just invite a couple of friends over and they would record a record that they loved, just like re-record it. Like I know they did like the Velvet Underground, and Nico, like that record, and they did like I'm blanking on other records, but like that to me was like that's perfect for now. Like why aren't you guys doing that now? Like that would be kind of a cool project.
Yeah, I mean that's such a fun idea.
Yeah, just because I know like I remember like the one that's popping up is like that Velvet Underground one, and it had like the guys, or at least one of the guys from management in GMT, and they were kind of like just trading off songs, and like everyone just they would just do them in like 2 or 3 takes, and I think they just put them out for free. So I don't know, that was I don't know why he's not doing that now, is what I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean he should definitely bring it back. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been really great talking with you today. I've really enjoyed this new record.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so excited for it to get out.
Okay, that does it for this one. Huge thanks to Ashley Campbell. Y'all be sure to check out Something Lovely out this Friday. Stop by our presenting partners, Desert Door and the Blue Light Live. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't just yet. And yeah, I'll see y'all later this week for another episode of New Slang. Thanks.